Collins. Welcome to Writers Reading. This show is a public service presentation of WPRG Television of Harold, Kentucky. As many of you probably know already, this is a literary show, and we'd be interested in seeing your writings so that we can have you on the show, or either read your writings if you just want that. When you send us something, if you want your material back, be sure to send a self-addressed stamped envelope. Send your material to Writers Reading, P.O. Box 44, Honaker, Kentucky 41639.
Well, Ernestine, before you go on, what is the purpose of this show? What are you trying to achieve with the show?
Well, there are a lot of people out there that write and nobody has read their stuff because they have no way to show what they've written. And we want this program to be something where unknown writers or known writers can come on and read their material. Anything they've written that, that we have time to get on the show. Poetry, short stories, anything literary.
Right, and you want people to come on the show, right?
Oh, yes. We prefer that you come on the show. If you're shy and you don't want to, we'll read your work for you. We'll find somebody to read it for you.
Right, I mean, what I like about the show, let me just say what I like about the show. What I like about the show is not that I'm on the show, but that we're going to encourage people that haven't been on television or that haven't had their work published. Because in the future, as I understand it, you want to invite some school children and some other writers and people that win writing awards. You're going to invite them on the show, right? So you're going to try to have people on the show that are from our area that haven't been able to read their works in public.
Right.
That sounds good to me.
Well, we thought it was a good idea. By the way, this is my special guest today, Dr. Mark F. Sohn, who is a professor at Pikeville College. You've probably seen him before when he was on one of our other shows. Dr. Sohn, what was it that you presented the last time you were here?
Well, two weeks ago I was on your show, and I read some material from Education in Appalachia's Central Highlands. Education in Appalachia's Central Highlands is a book I wrote in the 1980s, and it was used as a textbook. But that book features the history of education here in eastern Kentucky.
Okay, and what is it that you want to share with us today?
Well, today I'm going to read some material from Psychology for Parents and Teachers. And I have the book here. Psychology for Parents and Teachers is material on psychology that would be used by parents or teachers. It's psychological theory, psychological ideas and concepts, but it's practical material for parents and people that are in the classroom.
Well, why don't you share some of it with us today? Now?
Well, okay, from the chapter on human development. One of the primary topics that's of concern to parents and teachers is how children grow up. And you watch your children, and they grow up and grow up and grow up. And so I've written some material on children's growth. While the material in the chapter is kind of informational, the opening just relates to the concept. Here's the opening. Trees are the oldest living things on Earth. Some bristletone pines in California are over 4,000 years old and still living. Birth and death are ultimate moments. One's age is a major determinant of individual behavior and opportunity. When I was a boy, I planted 3 fir trees behind my parents' house. As a college student, I pruned them. Now, they are 50 feet tall. They are measures of my age. A little boy planted seedlings. A college student pruned large trees. And now, I am, it says here 42, but really I'm 45. Now I am 42 years old, and I stretch my neck to see the top. A tree's age is determined by counting the annual growth rings. People ask the question, how old are you? Sometimes we answer, sometimes we hesitate. Perhaps we want to be older, or perhaps we want to be younger. Age stirs emotions. Age and aging are a fact of life. In the first several months of life, we age as much as we do in the 35-year period from ages 25 to 60. Aging is both social and biological. And from that I go on and talk about various influences on age, what aging does to us, and various aspects of aging. So that's one chapter from my book.
Well, I knew your birthday was the day after mine, but I didn't know you were that much older than I am.
But you're March 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Well, March 2nd right here. How much older am I than you?
I won't say that.
You're not going to say. See, age stirs emotions. Yeah, I guess 1947 is my birth date, so... shall I do another one?
Sure.
I'm going to read from 3 chapters. And this is my second reading, and we can talk about the book a little bit more, or whatever. This is from the chapter on personality. I guess the thing that distinguishes one person from another, besides his looks, is his personality. And in psychology, when we talk about personality, we're talking about the way a person views himself and the way that person interacts with other people. And we interact in all different ways. Look into a child's face. It is beautiful. In a child of 3 years, you see God's work. You see beauty and love. You see clear eyes and clean, soft skin. But you don't see beyond the eyes. You don't see the personality. It is deep in the mind. And already by age 3, children have expressed their own character. They have expressed their own traits. And they have their own ways of behaving. What is most human about us is our personality. And you can't see it by looking into a person's eyes. When you look at the face of a 40-year-old, you may see wisdom, or assurance, or caring. You may see that, but in reality, the face, the eyes, the nose, the skin, the hair, the makeup, the jewelry, all of these things, all of these are confusing because we put them on. The more I study human behavior, the less willing I am to draw conclusions based on a limited amount of information. Like still waters, personality runs deep. So that's the opening.
That's some deep thinking.
Yeah, that's the opening to my chapter on personality. In that chapter, then I go on to define and say what personality is, how people's personality gets to be what it is, and how it's developed. I discuss personality traits and levels, and finally I talk about how people's personality changes, because surely the personality does change, even though it changes slowly.
Do you think that different people are better suited for certain jobs because of their personality?
Oh, I think that's good. That's exactly right, of course. Can you imagine a little tiny man being a state trooper?
Yeah.
Can you imagine one that doesn't give a lot of love being a minister?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, yeah, personalities, people's jobs and their personalities go hand in hand, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well,
Are you ready for another?
Sure, go right
another
ahead.
reading? Another topic in psychology is the topic of teaching and training. And one area of psychology is behavioral psychology. And behaviorists, as a school of psychologists, use different tools to help people learn or to help teach people. And so I have a chapter in Psychology for Parents and Teachers called Tools for Training. And most of the material in this chapter is derived from the work of, it's developed and derived and expanded and come from the work of B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner was the first psychologist to really demonstrate behavioral principles in the laboratory. And after he did that, people were rather opposed to this, and people were scared of it. People were upset. A lot of people didn't like psychology because of the methods of B.F. Skinner. But now, today, it's been so widely adapted. And you'll get a little touch of that as I read the opening to this chapter. So this is Tools for Training. It has been a quiet revolution. Like the melting of glaciers and the death of dinosaurs, it has changed the way we live. The preacher, teacher, and parent are no longer pedagogues. They plan and entice. They open worlds. They use tools for training. They are social carpenters. Widely employed, these tools are among the most predictable, usable, and certain tools of psychology. With these tools, people and animals can be trained. Little children, growing teens, midlife adults can be trained, and midlife adults can be trained. To the extent that a behavior is learned, it can be trained or it can be eliminated. Like the carpenter that uses a saw, a hammer, a drill, or a chisel, parents and teachers must occasionally go to the shelf and get a tool. And like the carpenter selecting the correct drill bit, parents and teachers must choose the correct tool. If we want to work with wood, we have to learn about woodworking tools. If we want to be effective with people, we have to learn about people tools. And so in this chapter, I present 4 tools of training, tools for training. I present reinforcement, shaping, stimulus control, and untraining. There was a time when the terms and methods of B.F. Skinner were controversial. Many were afraid of systematic teaching, stimulus control, conditioning, and reinforcement. But these methods have helped people. They have been life-enhancing. They have led to self-control and self-actualization. They are a first step towards humanism. With these tools, some have learned to control habits, master skills, and be healthy. Then, with tasks accomplished, people can live a fuller life. These tools have been used in public schools and ski schools, in mental health centers and in centers for the retarded, in college chem labs and in labs for computers. They have been used to train horses and cats and whales and seals. They have been used by cat trainers and trainers of kids. They are not new. They are tools for training, reinforcement, shaping, stimulus control, and untraining.
From what you've read to us here today, I know that this book would be very important for parents and teachers to have. So could you tell us how we could get a copy?
Well, Ernestine, they would just request a copy from you, right? We'll do that through you. Send $10 to Ernestine Collins at Writers Reading. Send to Writers Reading, Post Office Box 44, Honaker, Kentucky.
41639.
41639. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome, and I hope you'll come back again.
Well, thank you.
And now, before we go off the air, I'd like to read another of my poems. This one is called My First School. I counted clothespins and sang my ABCs and learned how to read and write in that one-room school. And I missed my mommy. We carried water to drink from the waterfall and ate soup Miss Hartley made on a pot-bellied stove. I received my first kiss from a boy when I was 6 years old, behind the school building with all the kids watching. I got a spanking or two every day, and I miss my mommy. 30 years have passed, and they no longer teach school in that little white building. My first school is now a place of worship, where I learn God's Word, and pray, and give of my means, and commune with my Lord. And I lift my voice with the congregation to sing precious memories. And I miss my mommy. Thank you for joining in. We want to thank today our special guest, Dr. Mark F. Sohn, our cameraman, Eugene Cisco.
The time. You know, my cooking show is good too.
Yeah, that's a good time for me.
Yeah. Sure, we'll do it.
You do it here?
Yeah, we do it in the kitchen.
Somebody asked me that. She said, that's a beautiful kitchen. She said, is that at his house? I said, I don't know.
Right. Now, Eugene, you're the cameraman.